Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 165 at scavengerlife.com. We are talking about what's going on in our store this week.
You know what's interesting? I just was doing an email conversation with, it's Mikey.
Yes.
Mikey and Wendy used to do this podcast.
Yes.
It's with us, and they've moved on and they're doing all kinds of other cool stuff. But we were just talking, and he was telling me that they've been kind of building this new strategy, or they've been strengthening it, where they just are traveling a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, they live in the Southwest, and he says that they now do these weekend trips. In their region, you know, go and stay overnight at places and then go and scavenge. And so they're still doing eBay full time. I wasn't quite sure if they had moved away from it because, you know, he's got his own business too where he builds electronics.
Right.
So, but it sounds like eBay is a big thing. And then he says in the summertime when it's really, really hot where they live, he says now, I think they did it last year, but they're going to do it again, go and live in different parts of the country during the hot times.
I was looking at their store, and they have well over 1,000 items listed, and they maintain that.
Yeah,
you know?
They've always had about 1,000 items, and
it hasn't dropped down, so they're definitely still going for it.
So it's good.
Which is cool.
So I asked him if he wanted to do another update. It's with us sometime. Maybe it's winter time. Just
That'd
to
be
kind
cool.
of see. You know.
Yeah, I would like to hear from them because they have some really cool stuff in there. Really like unique. Actually, when I was looking through their store this morning, I was remembering that they were the inspiration for us to really start looking for things besides clothing.
Yep.
Because their source of goods was always yard sales because they live in even more of a rural place than we do.
Right.
So they don't really have like many active thrift stores.
Right.
So they're like the new stuff comes with yard sales, you know, and estate sales. So it's not always clothing heavy in those things. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I always enjoy talking to It's Mikey and Wendy just because they were like the first people who, I mean, we actually helped get them to sell on eBay, but they were the first people who we could talk to about eBay very openly and all the strategies.
Because they were so into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they were just like, oh, I'll just sell a little here and there. They went full force, you know.
They were the first and maybe the only people we've ever, you know, our friends who we ever met in person who, once we told them about eBay, they got it and they did it and they're still doing it.
And really did it. They were just like, oh, I get it, go.
Every other friend or acquaintance we've ever told about what we do, they either have tried it a little bit and then quickly just like realize it's not for them, or they just, you know, they're just, their eyes glaze over. They have no idea. So it's
fun to talk to them because they totally get it.
Yeah, because I think that's the exciting thing is like once you get it and you embrace it and then you make it a part of it's your life and you're excited about scavenging because you know, it's got to be kind of a daily kind of thing, then it is amazing. It can just become, that's what you do. That's how you make a living. Right. And it's neat to hear that Mikey and Wendy have kind of really built a life around scavenging. Like, we talked about that. Like, we travel, but they do it even in a different way where they're going a weekend to places, you know?
So that's cool because they're able to get outside of their normal yard sale area to go maybe to fancier parts of the state or, you know, places where more stuff is happening. So that's a good way to find cool stuff.
I mean, we've kind of talked about that, about the idea of, especially I guess around on the East Coast would be like the springtime and summertime where we would just take 4-day trips to... you know, some town in a region close to us and just go stay at an Airbnb and just...
have a good time, but scavenge and go on Craigslist, go to estate sales.
Yeah, kind of be a tourist, kind of be a scavenger.
Right.
And, you know.
Well, we've talked about this before, but I enjoy traveling in that way more than just going to places and be like, let's just hang out and go out to eat. I like to do that, but... You know, like one time we went to, this was the weekend of Hurricane Sandy. We went to Virginia Beach, which was insane because we were like, there's a hurricane coming. It was Hurricane Sandy. Luckily, we missed it. We were driving home when it was happening. But part of that trip was, like, we just stumbled upon these amazing estate sales and we're like, oh, this is way more fun than, like, just being a tourist.
Right.
Which we were, but...
Yeah. It is cool.
Yeah.
So, it was Thanksgiving week for all of us.
Yes.
And we kind of talked about it a bit on the last podcast we did where we were answering people's questions.
Which was very fun, I thought.
Yeah, we really enjoy hearing people's voices when they ask
It makes people real, not just like emails.
But our Thanksgiving we basically spent the whole week taking photos, which I guess is a little bit counterintuitive. You know, the idea would be you'd want to be listing items like crazy because, you know, Monday's coming, Cyber Monday.
But there's reasons behind that, 2 reasons. Number one, some of my family members are coming to visit, so that's always a good excuse to like clear out the piles.
Right.
But this pile was getting out of control.
Right. Since we'd been traveling all summertime, we hadn't been really keeping up with the piles in our home, which we don't like to have like a lot of eBay stuff in our house, but we just couldn't help it. And so this was like a 4-month pile because, you know, we'd go scavenge, we'd dump it in this pile. And
what was your estimation of how many items there were?
I mean, you know, we aren't done yet.
I know.
But I would probably say it's tough because there's a lot of big items.
Right.
So
that takes up space.
Right, but then we have a lot of like little small items like stamps and coins and like cards and, you know, photos.
Little tiny things.
I mean, I would probably say there's like 300 items, you know?
Oh my God, wow.
And
we've done pretty good.
Yeah, and we've gone through, you know, at least half of it. And again, the small stuff you can always push aside and keep going.
And the small stuff's very fast to do.
But, you know, that for us was important to do. And, you know, I guess, you know, I've said this before that we're kind of like, we aren't very good store owners in a sense. I mean,
why do you say what?
Well, I imagine, you know, a store, you know, someone that runs like an online store, like he or she has like these charts and they're like keeping up with trends and they're like trying to see like what's hot.
Who the hell does that?
There are lots of people that do it. I watch those YouTube videos where people are like following like what toy is the hottest. And
is that for eBay sellers or Amazon sellers?
Mainly Amazon, but I'm sure it happens on eBay too. I guess, and I'm not trying to beat myself up. I'm just trying to share with people like, I think it's okay though. I mean, we don't have to be on top of those trends.
Right.
We just are kind of like steady kind of people where, you know, we do what's necessary for ourselves to keep our life kind of quiet and happy.
Yes.
And this week it happened to be like we need to clean out our house.
Yeah.
Again, that might be counterintuitive. We should be listing like crazy, but we have lots of items.
We have so much stuff up.
But the good thing is we've always done it like this. Rarely do we like follow the trends.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so, and that works for us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a great thing for us about selling kind of it's one of a kind and vintage and junky stuff on eBay is that that's okay. You know,
yeah, it's evergreen.
Like we don't need to worry about like, okay, we got to get the winter stuff up for it's winter and spring's coming. Let's get the spring stuff up.
We do.
You know?
We definitely like the other day we were like, we have a pile of jackets. We need to take photos of those and we need to list them tomorrow, which we did.
Right.
But I wasn't stressful. I wasn't like, oh my God, I have to do it.
But the thing is, we still have a nice 2 or 3 more piles of the winter stuff, and you know what? It'll just get up when it gets up.
It is the best of the best.
Yeah,
it's no junky stuff.
Right. Ultimately, what's important for us is like we just have to make sure that our lifestyle is comfortable and good, and we're just always doing a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, you know, it's a whole pipeline idea. You know, we have a pipeline and we're just always filling it. And it might not be the exact correct stuff that has to go in it, but it's always being filled with something.
But but if you look at our sales, like I'll make another video this week of like what sold in our store. It is the most random stuff. It always is. Right. I mean, you're just like someone bought this like vintage, 3 yards of wool fabric. Right. And then someone bought a Revere wear pot. And someone bought an old trucker hat. I don't know. It's like, there you go. That's how it works.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about our numbers. Each week we're just talking about our store, and we like to really kind of ground it in like reality. So this is not, these aren't
good for me.
Yeah, these aren't really, it's philosophical conversations, and also it's Ryan doesn't really keep up with this. So this is her first time.
How much do we make this week?
This is her first time. She'll find out. And the other thing is, I mean, we have not yet become completely independent where you know, we don't need to make a living. Like, you know, we need to make the money we need to make.
Right.
Or we're,
this isn't just like for fun.
Or we're out on the street, you know.
Yeah.
So, paycheck from poverty kind of thing. You know?
Okay, we're not that close. But, you know. Yeah.
A couple paychecks, you know. Like, we understand. Okay, so anyway, this week actually was really slow for us.
Yeah.
So we made $1,400.
Yeah, that's slow.
And that's before expenses,
right?
You know, and so we sold 37 items,
right?
And that's averaging about $38 an item, which is less than we've been doing. We've been doing like $45
right,
an
but
item.
That's pretty close.
It's close, but you know, I don't know. All week, you know, we had a couple decent days, but there were
Wednesday,
days.
the day before Thanksgiving. First of all, it was snowing, and you know that's travel day for people who are going on Thanksgiving,
right?
But it was so slow.
But you know what? I mean, the reason why, again, I'm not worried about it is because it's always been like this since we started on eBay. You know, and someone was asking about this on the comments on the blog is like, you know, is everyone getting excited about Black Friday? And I just had to remind people, in our experience, our sales actually are not very strong during this time because I think people are excited about getting the deals in the stores.
Yeah. Walmart.
Yeah. And so, you know, we don't get this big rush and surge.
I mean, we just don't sell that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the difference,
right?
You know.
I mean, and I think too, even our holiday sales. I was saying this again on the blog was that it's not like we get like we sell like $10,000 in 1 week or 10 times what we normally sell. It's more like it's like a 20% rise in what the summertime is, but it's a 20% rise. Steady, yeah. And that lasts for like October, November, December, and sometimes even January. Yeah. So, you know, it's like a steady rise. Our income goes up for, you know, a good 4 months. We can pay off a lot of bills, put some money away, pay our taxes, you know. And then, you know, summertime comes and then, you know, it goes back down.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why I'm like, you cannot depend on what you make in December to be the same as you make in June. And then if you're angry because you aren't selling as much in June and you're blaming all these things, like that's just the retail cycle.
Well,
you know?
That's why they call it Black Friday.
Right.
I mean, because most retail stores are like, we're going to make all our profit this week.
Right.
For the year.
Right.
You know, that's crazy.
But, you know, again, I mean, we've never run a retail store.
Right.
So we're coming to this brand new too. Like we're like the natives of eBay where like we've never sold any place else except on eBay. So, you know, we're not bringing all this like experience.
Right.
But, you know, I read a lot about this kind of stuff. And I think when I see comments where people are complaining about things being slow during certain times of the year, I just got to assume that these people have never sold in a retail environment.
Sure.
Don't understand that there's an up and down cycle.
There's a fluctuation. Yeah, that's just the way it is. It sucks, but you know that's just it.
Yeah, like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything any of us can do on this planet to make people buy from you consistently.
Right.
Because that's just not how our habits are.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I mean, you know, and that's just the way it is. So we're never going to do this podcast again because I just answered all the questions.
Oh, shit. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I mean, I think the other interesting thing, too, was we were selling a lot of low-priced inventory. I just noted a lot of our sales for us, it's a week were like, you know, $20 items.
Yep.
$14 items, like
which we don't have a lot of, but there are a lot of sweaters and jackets on sale for like $27.
Right.
Someone gave us an offer for $20 on a sweater. I'm like, fine, sell it.
And selling a lot of hats. We do have like some knickknacks that sell for $15. I mean, which when you think about like something really tiny selling for $15, it's still good, but.
Not great.
Our numbers get big when we can sell those, $200 items. So, you put up another one of your videos this week.
Yes, I made a video.
What we sold.
And that video had a lot of stuff in it. I was editing that video and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff in here.
So, I'm not really a part of this was kind of your idea and you kind of just do it. I'm not really a part of it. So how are you making those videos?
I just keep a video camera next to my shipping table, so I try really hard to remember to videotape stuff, because I will forget. I'm like, I totally forgot to videotape this, tonight. Right. Yeah, so if I just see stuff that I think is cool and that I think people would overlook.
Right, so these aren't everything we sell. These are just the things that, we would think someone would overlook and be like, look at this.
Like, look at this cool thing that you might just think is junk, but, it's sold. And just fun stuff that's weird, that you're like, someone bought this. Why? I don't know. But why did I buy it?
I mean, so because I'm not really a part of it, I love to watch those
because you don't know what
videos from the outside, because it does excite me, because those videos are exactly what we always talk about. Like, right. This is what it's like to run kind of a one-of-a-kind vintage store. Right. I mean, it's not really one-of-a-kind because there are multiples of them. But we only have one of these items because it was in a big pile of junk. And, I mean, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. And so if you watch these videos that Ryan is making, and if you understand that, then you get what we're talking about, Yeah. And if it all just looks like a bunch of trash to you, then
why are you listening to this podcast?
Then that's not what we talk about.
Yeah.
This is like scavenging style, when you're going out finding things that everyone is over looking, rather than buying the stuff that everyone's like fighting over.
Right. I hate that. I hate fighting over stuff.
And that's why I say, we're kind of like not good sellers, because like we aren't going after the stuff that everyone wants. We're going after the stuff that everyone is looking over, dusting it off.
Because we can get it for cheap.
I'm blowing dust off of it, shining it up, and then we like represent it,
The local thrift store that we go to, they had like a Black Friday sale, and one of our friends was like, did you go to the sale? And we were like, you know what? We didn't go to the sale because I don't want to fight with people for all the crazy price stuff. Like, I want to go on the day where no one's there and everything's left over, essentially. Right. That's what we're going to do today, probably.
That's what we like, because it's really low stress that way. Yeah. And the way it works for us as far as our numbers go is just that we just put up its quantity. We just put up a lot of it. Yeah. And, I'm sure people get tired of us saying it, but it's so... Just these moments and watching a video like that, it just becomes so clear to me,
Yeah, totally. So I'll make another one this week. Right. Hopefully I'll have enough cool, interesting, random items to show.
I mean, I think also when I watch those videos, it just reminds us too that when we're scavenging, we're often scavenging without any preconceived idea of what we're going to get, So, and that's kind of the exciting part of it. Cool is like you're going to a flea market, no idea what you're gonna get. We're open to anything. Yeah. It could be a knife, a dish, whatever, a blanket. Yeah. Like, it's just anything that we have a sense has some kind of quality or interest. And that's a fun part of it,
that's scavenging. Right. I mean, that's essentially it.
Right. And that's where sometimes I hear people, and often it's people who are newer to selling online, because we were like this too, where they get into like, I'm buying this thing. I'm buying...
You have blinders on.
Yeah, like I'm buying jeans. And so you go and like, if I don't see any jeans, I'm out of there,
I've done that so many times.
Right.
I've been there. Right. We did that for the first few years of our store, because we were only looking for shoes and clothes. Right. So the flea market looked desolate.
Right. And I can appreciate that, because when we were starting out, it was important for us to focus.
We needed
to. What's going to sell? Well, I know this stuff sells, so that's what I'm going to buy.
Exactly.
And it is fun. And I think that's the only way we've been able to keep existing as eBay sellers, just that we're finding new and different stuff to sell. Because, I do hear it. People pop up in the comments and they're like, I've been selling on eBay for a long time, but I stopped for a while. And I just think, and I can feel that, because there have been moments where I'm just like, do we want to keep doing this?
Do I want to list another sweater?
I've never really done anything for more than 4 years of my life. Like, I'm always, it's moving to a different job, because you want new challenges.
Yeah, you just want to... But that's the beauty of evolving on eBay, which I pretty much say every week. But as you change what you're selling, or as you're more open to stuff, you'll find weird, cool stuff, unique stuff that all the time. So that's the challenge. Like, I'm still, every day when I'm listing the random, things, hard goods, we call them, I'm learning so much stuff about the most random things. Like, I bought this bag of stamps, vintage international stamps. They might be worth nothing, but I don't know anything about stamps. I started researching about stamps just for fun. I'm not going to be like a total obsessive about it, but they're beautiful artwork. They're from all over the world. They're from the 40s and 50s. I'm just like, this is so neat.
And that cost us $3.
Yeah, it was $3. So I'm just like, I don't know.
How can you go wrong?
Yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah. So, it's stuff like that keeps it fresh, I think. That keeps you just... Is treasure hunting.
Right.
How can treasure hunting not be fun? It totally is,
And, I bought a Mickey Mouse watch.
Yes.
I don't know. It's probably been a month now, but we finally took a picture of it and kind of started to...
Look it up.
Look at it, and it's just because we had watched this Antique Roadshow. I downloaded a bunch of them, and I remember this one guy had a bunch of these watches, and it had this particular mark on the back.
Right.
I was like, well, maybe I'll try it. It was $5. I mean, again, we're not sure, but it looks like he could sell for like $300.
$300 to $500. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
We'll see.
I'm crossing my fingers right now.
So, I mean, this is one of those things where we don't really like to kind of talk about this stuff because
we don't know.
We're pulling that number out of our butt.
Well, and we want to bring it to a watch shop and get it to work because it's not turned on right now.
Right. It doesn't have
a battery. It needs a battery.
So, that's an example of like we are willing to put a little bit of work into an item if we think it'll sell for more. But the research seems to show that. So, that's a fun part.
Cool.
And that was just like one of those things where it was a glass case item.
The glass case item.
I've talked about before where I've sometimes overpaid for things, and this happened to be one where I might have, done
way underpaid.
I might have done right.
Yeah, so that's fun.
So some of the things we sold this week that we actually sold for real money that pays our bills.
And I took a video of this one. So
This is all you.
You're like, what the hell are they?
What is it? Like, it's a cup?
So I sold 3 Copeland Spode porcelain. They're called tankards.
Yep.
They're like beer mugs, basically, or whatever. The pattern is called Trade Winds. It has these like vintage tall ships on them. I love them. I think they're beautiful. They're really cool.
And we normally don't go for buying a lot of china. Like we but these happen to look very beautiful. Like they have a nice orange pattern to them.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And I say this in the video too. The reason I picked up the Copeland Spode is because I think like a week before I bought them, my mom was like, I found this Copeland Spode plate. Or I had 3 of them, and they sold for like $100 each, and she was just like insane about them. And I was like, "Oh, Copeland Spode! Like now I know that. I didn't know that name before."
Your mom was acting insane. Get out of there.
She listens to this podcast. She's gonna comment on that. But yeah. So that was the reason that I knew that name. So I grabbed them. It was like 3 tankards, 2 bowls, a pitcher. And then much later, we actually went to replacements.com in Greensboro, North Carolina. They have a huge warehouse. And I found another like coffee pot with the same thing without a top, so it was on sale. So whatever. So I have a big set of them. But I'm selling them individually. So the tankards, I priced lower than replacements so that I could have a cheaper price than them. I priced them at $96 each. They're worth like $120 or whatever. So this lady bought one. And then she asked me in the messages, like when you get the PayPal payment, people can put a message. So she said, let me know if you have more of these. And I was like, I have 2 more of the exact same ones. She offered $82 for 2. I was like, yes.
For each of them.
For each of them. Right. $82 for 2.
So it was almost $300.
Yeah, it was $260 for all 3. I was absolutely thrilled with that.
And it was interesting because we talk about this in the comments. This is a brand new eBayer. She signed up probably just to buy these because we were her first sale.
Yeah.
She didn't know much about eBay. Ryan actually told her about the make offer. I think she would have bought them full price, but Ryan was like,
no. She asked me if she could make an offer on the second 2. She's like, oh, I want the second 2. Would you do a better price if I bought the last 2? And I said, just do make offer.
And so I think that is good that, people that get worried that, eBay's dying or whatever, we still see stuff like this where people come on eBay because she can buy these on eBay or at replacements.com, but these aren't things you can buy on Amazon, and that's what pulls people in.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and it was cool too. I mean, these were things we probably bought for, $10 total or something.
Yeah,
but
15.
we bought them two years ago. So they've been up on eBay for a while. But again, let's do its numbers. 3 or 5 cents. It's 5 cents a month. So we're spending like 15 cents. 2 years. So maybe we're like $5 in for listing fees. We buy them all for $10. And then we sell them for $260.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
We're glad we waited. If we had tried to force them into an auction,
right,
we might have sold them for $30 each.
Yeah, exactly.
So. And again, it works because we have a lot of this stuff up. So we're willing to wait, but everything that sells, we get the highest price we can scrape from people.
It was really funny because I wanted to buy a canister for the kitchen. It was for a flour canister, like a vintage Pyrex flour canister.
It's so interesting. We've kind of been into buying a lot on eBay lately.
I think... Yeah, I don't know.
It's good though.
Because I'm like really obsessed with getting deals. So I'm like, I want this thing. I want it for $5. So I'm going to get it for $5. But so we have this canister. It's the Harvest Wheat Pyrex glass. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's really cool. It holds the flour for baking. So I wanted another one to match it to hold whole wheat flour because I'm a nerd like that. So I went on eBay and this lady had the exact one I wanted. For $12, free shipping. This is a glass canister with make offer. Okay, so first I was like, how's she going to make any money off that? 'Cause she's got to ship this to me free shipping. So I asked her, what would you take for an offer? Just curious, like I don't want to give...
Because that's kind of our strategy is that when people have a make offer, we don't just make an offer. We first ask them.
Yeah.
Because number one, that's what we do at flea markets.
Yeah.
We don't try and lowball people. We just see like what they're willing to take.
Yeah.
To, what would they be happy with?
Right.
And sometimes they do this.
Yeah. So she was like, I could take 10 for it. Okay. $10, free shipping. She's like 2 states away from us. It's glass. It's gonna be $6 or $7 to ship it.
Right. And you know what?
So she made $3.
You know what? And that's her price.
That's what I would gladly pay more than that.
Right. Right.
It's just amazing. So I got an amazing deal.
So if you're out there, I mean, we always encourage you as a seller to research your item and put the strongest price that you can on it and be patient.
Yeah.
But if you're a buyer, I mean, if people are willing to pay to sell things for
basically $3.
I mean, these are like yard sale prices. It's like they're having a yard sale on eBay.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah, it's great for when you're buying stuff for your house.
So, some other things we sold this week, although it didn't turn out to be well. Last week, we sold this old antique door from our rental house, which was cool.
Still waiting for him to pick it up.
And these, this is our experiment with selling furniture on eBay where it's local pickup. So this guy still hasn't picked it up yet, but
he's already paid.
He's paid us, so we don't really care.
Whatever.
But then we sold 2 other pieces of furniture, an office chair, and then we sold a bed.
A vintage, 1930s bed.
And unfortunately, though, both of those buyers, one didn't realize it was a local pickup and immediately wanted to cancel. And the other one was about
She's outside of Baltimore, Maryland, which for us is 3.5 hours away.
And we just, and then she set up a time to pick it up, and then she just emailed up and said she wanted to cancel. And I think when she actually did the Google Maps, she realized
we're far away.
How far away
we're
it was going to be.
A full day drive.
Right. And that's
round trip.
And that was a real bummer because, I mean, that was $700 total.
Worth of stuff. Yeah. It was a real bummer.
And, I mean, again, that's an unfortunate part of this furniture experiment we're doing is that it's great when people are willing to come pick it up, but we do live in kind of a rural area, not very close to
a city,
anything, so, good and bad.
And my problem, too, is the office chair I'm selling is a Herman Miller Aeron chair, and a lot of people ship those. Mm. And I looked at the chair, and I'm like, I really can't figure out how to... take this apart to ship it. Yeah. I don't want to ship it either. So that's kind of my own problem.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I wish, we talked about this before. Last year, I'd really put some time into researching how to ship stuff freight. You know, we went to the it's FedEx warehouse to see like what we would need to do, and they talked about like putting them on pallets and strapping them down,
crating them.
It's just, it was too much, you know, and then there's you can arrange it through like at uship.com where
which is cool.
Random people put, you know, we'll have an auction to do the, you know, to
do the shipping.
Right.
Like basically it's like almost like eBay for, you know, shippers.
And we had one guy actually do that, but normally it's just too expensive. I mean,
if they're buying a really high-priced item, we have a couple of dressers and side tables that I have up for over $1,200 because they're amazing. You know, something like that, I think someone would be willing to pay for U-ship, but like an office chair, they're like, no. So we'll see. I mean, we've had very good luck with furniture, so I think we're going to sell stuff. But
yeah, I mean, you know, again, it's for us. They aren't really in our way. They're stored away easily. And again, 5 cents a month to keep them up, and if they sell, it's big money, you know?
Right,
so
exactly.
We're willing to be patient.
Yeah.
I did want to mention last week, Ryan had talked about these lamps that we've had for 2 years, and we have them up for how much? $2,000?
Yes, $2,000.
And Ryan said she'd be willing to sell them for $500. I wouldn't be willing to sell them for $500.
Yeah, we need to amend that. I think I said that out of like, I was exaggerating. Yeah. Basically, I was like, I'll take anything.
Right.
I honestly didn't really mean that.
Right.
Because some people were like, if you're going to sell them for $500, why not just list them for
which is a valid argument to make. But the its reality is I don't think I'd ever let them go for under $1,200.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
Because really, if it's less than that, I'd rather just keep them for ourselves because these are the kind of lamps where
you don't see them.
It's true, almost one of a kind.
Yeah.
Because the shades are fiberglass.
They're original shades.
They're in perfect shape. I mean,
they're beautiful.
It really is those kind of lamps that you would see in a super fancy design store. Yeah. And so, you know, like, it's just one of those things where I'll never let them go unless I get the price I want. Yeah. Whereas other things, I'm like, you know, I want this price, but it's move them. So,
yeah. So these are we certainly have an attachment to these, a sentimental attachment to them, which, you know, 99% of our stuff we do not have a sentimental attachment to.
Right. And so, you know, and that's good to have sometimes, you know. So, I mean, and when I sell them for $1,500, I'll be laughing. And
I'll let you all know when that day comes. So let's talk about customer issues.
Yep. As always.
Ooh, I had a few customer issues this week. But, you know, I didn't cry about it really.
Although I feel because we have these like corporate policies, as we call them, they didn't cause a lot of drama just because we knew what to do when it all happened.
Basically, we nipped the drama in the bud. Right. Like, so quick.
Yeah. So
number one.
We got a negative feedback.
It's like such a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, so
dumb.
You know, we seem to get one or two every a year. You know, we sell like 1,200 items a year, 1,400 items a year. So it's one or two, and it just seems like there's nothing we can do. And this happened to be a vintage hat,
like a faux fur winter hat. I call it a garrison. It's kind of a garrison hat.
Sold it to a guy in the Middle East in Oman. And he just said, and he said it was dirty.
Now, I will say this. Before he bought it, he said, this looks like it's dirty. He said something like that. And so I looked at the photos, and the inside looked to have lint. Like, because it's a black hat. So when you take a picture, the exposure goes way up and it looks all like linty. And I said, it's just a little bit of lint. I'll take the lint off before you buy it, whatever. I did that. I used the lint roller all inside because the inside was wool. And then I sent it to him.
Yeah. I think it's just an example. I don't think it's that big of a mystery. I think this is just more of probably a cultural confusion where maybe, you know, it's very common in America, especially buying vintage things have some wear on them. This hat was particularly in good shape for, something from the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
But, it was a used item.
Right.
And I just think maybe he wasn't accustomed to getting an item that was used,
Right.
And so that's my thinking.
Yeah.
Because even in the pictures, I mean, it looked really nice.
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
And there's literally nothing we can do about it. We were trying to talk about it, like, could we fight this somehow? And you know what? It's just his opinion.
That's what I figure.
He's entitled to his opinion.
That's what they're going to say if I call eBay.
Yeah.
However, this week, I'm going to call.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Why not?
And so, he didn't ask for a refund or anything.
Nothing.
But ultimately, like, it's what do you do? Let's just eat it.
It's just like, that sucks. I'll respond to it on the, you can respond to feedback and be like, buyer did not ask for a return or whatever.
But then on the other hand, we got another return. We just got like a little Adidas parka.
Oh yeah, this is hilarious. Yeah. So in a video a couple weeks ago, I showed this Adidas parka, blue and red Adidas parka. And the guy returned it because it didn't fit. No big deal. So the hilarious thing is, I see a note stuffed in the pocket. Because a lot of people will be like, sorry, it didn't fit, whatever. So I pull the note out, and tucked inside the note is two $5 bills.
Wow.
He paid us $10. He tipped us $10.
Right. He was very apologetic. He said it didn't fit him, and so he's very.
We didn't pay any of the shipping.
He said, "I'm sorry," and so hey, what a cool buyer.
I've never had a buyer basically pay us half of what they bought it for.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was funny. So I've never had that happen. The other customer issue we had, which is totally my fault. I felt really, really bad about this all around. I sold this necklace to this guy I think it was in Turkey, somewhere in Europe.
Because we're international sellers.
Yeah, good, clearly. And it was African amber trade beads. They're not amber. They're not Bakelite. They're something like Bakelite. So I said they weighed 619 grams. The way that you weigh something is you put it on the scale, you zero out the scale with the container. I had like a juice glass that I was holding it in, and then you put the necklace in. I apparently weighed it with the juice glass, which I've never done before. I know how to zero out a scale. I've done that a bunch of times. And I said it was 600 grams, but it was really 200 grams. He paid $150 for this necklace. I did the calculation on the difference in price for the grams, and I owed him $100 because he said, I weighed this and this only weighs 200 grams. So I want my money back for the difference. And he was right.
Yep.
It was 200 grams. And the reason I knew he wasn't lying is because I have the exact same necklace. I had two, and I weighed that one and it was 200 grams. Yeah. So I was like...
But the good thing on that was, he could have just said, I'm going to send it back, and we'd have to pay the
shipping from Turkey.
But he was very cool, and he accepted the
money back.
Its return. Yeah. Its money back, and that was great. I was really worried, especially dealing with a person in another country, that they would have been very angry. Right. But that's good.
So basically, what I did was, the minute I got that email, I double checked my information, I reweighed it, and I gave him his money back right away, and wrote, an email that was like, I'm so sorry. I really messed up. Here's your money. Please, I'm so sorry. And that was that. Yep. And I was like, I made a mistake. I feel horrible.
Yep.
The end.
No drama.
Yeah, just, it had to be like that, so.
Cool.
I learned my lesson. I reweighed all my necklaces, and all of them were correct, except for those two.
I mean, that's a good example of, like, no matter how long you sell on eBay, there's so many little details, especially if you're selling different kinds of items. Every item is different. There's every little kind of detail that you have to keep track of, and so
you'll make mistakes.
Something will always slip by, and it happens. Like, a couple people in the comments were talking this past week about they shipped the wrong item to somebody else, and trying to find
they switched items. Basically,
that happens. That happened to us. I mean, the big thing is just you got to own it. You got to own its problem and just eat the cost and just make it better.
Make it better. have a solution.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
Yeah,
Don't deny that you made a mistake.
Right. Treat buyers like you would want to be treated.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's a big thing. And I think that's when I read like a lot of the angry, it's nasty comments of sellers talking about its buyers. I just feel like, people that say, I will never take a return ever. I just feel like that's very prideful, because what you're saying is, I'm never going to make a mistake. So,
Yeah. And eBay will make you take a return.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a myth in the eBay world that you can actually say no, it's returns. I mean, in a reality,
you can't.
A buyer can always force a return.
Because there's buyer protection.
If they say that you've done something wrong.
Yeah, if the item's defective or whatever.
It's just better just to take returns. 99.9% of buyers are always cool, and, I mean, this guy was cool too.
Yeah.
We made a mistake, and,
we admitted it right away. Yeah. It's not like I was like, you're lying, buddy.
Yeah.
That would have made it real bad.
So some other things we learned in the comments this week was, I thought it was funny, Tatiana.
Yes.
She had this interesting idea, really smart, when you go to, especially like a place like a Savers.
Like Savers,
a thrift store, and they have all these policies and stuff,
like discounts and discount cards and stuff like that.
And I know a place like a Savers has cheaper prices for older people over 65.
Over 65.
And she says, I don't know if she's done it or if she's going to do it, to get her mom to actually come with her to shop, and then have her mom pay for all the items.
Gets the discount.
So it's like a thrift store mule,
Yeah, that's what she said.
That's really smart.
That's so funny, because we don't have any Savers near us. I'm like, Mom, you gotta come, because my mom's coming to visit.
Yeah.
Mom, come with us.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that for other kinds of stores.
I've only heard stuff like that at Savers. Like, my mom always has like a, buy $10 worth and that card,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, when we'd go and visit It's Your Mom, we would... it seemed like they don't do the cards quite as often, but she'd always have a stack of these coupons, and she
30% off
we'd
coupons.
go shop with her, and she'd give us this coupon, and we'd save all this money.
Yeah, it was great. That's fun. There's no Savers near us, and when we have gone to Savers, a lot of times on those sale days, you have to have like a Savers club membership or some bullshit, basically. Remember in Oregon, we were there, we got all this stuff.
That's right.
And we're like, yeah, it's like 40% off. And they're like, do you have your Savers card? We're like, we don't have a Savers card. They're like, you can't get one today because we don't give them out.
And we just it left that whole...
We left the whole cart. We were like, oh... Anyway, Savers, damn you.
And then the other thing is, some people were schooling us in the comments. We had mentioned last podcast that someone had asked a question about, like, does store inventory show up in
search results.
eBay search results?
And we were just like, what?
It was really confusing to us because, I mean, of course it does.
Right.
I mean, it currently does. But people schooled us before 2010...
Yes.
eBay store results would show up in like a ghetto on the search page.
Like some other spot like down below or
So
something.
it was a very valid question that we didn't answer with enough respect, and
because we were not knowledgeable that would ever
because
be the
we
case.
started selling in 2008, but as we've said it's before, we only did auctions. Honestly, because we just thought eBay was all about auctions.
We didn't know there was really anything else.
And then we started to learn about fixed price, and then we finally got a store in 2010 when eBay did a big push
for stores.
For stores. I don't know if you guys remember that in 2010 it was one of those updates that they would do every year.
Yeah.
And so we went ahead and signed up because it was a lot cheaper, and that's when eBay integrated the store search in their regular search.
I mean, when people talked about that, I was like, how can that even be true?
Right.
It is true because everyone's remembering it.
Right.
It just seems so weird.
Well, I mean...
like, what? That
would have been something to really, truly be angry about. Right. That would have been really stupid. But, I mean, again, that's another good example of, like, eBay had this kind of stupid idea, and they've changed it.
Yeah, I mean, really, why have a store at all? I think that's probably why a lot of people who have been selling for a long time are like, why should I get a store?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's different now.
But, and we get probably like, it's one or two every month, a question like, should I get a store?
Yeah.
And I mean, we always tell people, the reason why we have a store is because we maintain a large inventory, and so listing fees are cheaper.
Yes.
So we save money that way. The other thing is because we have a large inventory, the store allows us to organize our store. So we have a store page, and we can do categories, and you can see if people are buying your stuff through your store page or just through a random eBay search. And, we get people that come to the store and they're actually like clicking
buying
through.
like 3 things.
And they shop like we shop, where, if I'm looking for a vintage or a one-of-a-kind item, we talked about this last time, I will look at every single item in that search just because you're looking for like a little detail that attracts you.
I mean, this is so ridiculous. Last night I was looking for keyhole covers because I need some vintage keyhole covers for some of the doors in our farmhouse. I swear to God, I looked at 1,000.
Yeah.
1,000 listings.
Because it's cool, Yeah,
because I was like, I want one that looks exactly like this or something like it. And I found like 4 of them and I bookmarked them. And I'm like, okay, I'll see if any of those work for my doors.
And we're going to do that strategy we have where Ryan's going to email people and be like,
what would you take for this?
How much would you take?
Yeah.
And just see.
If they're like, I'd take what it's listed for. Okay.
Who's willing to do a good deal? Although there is one particular one we want, and that's a tough thing on eBay. There'll be that one particular one you want. They don't want to give it your deal. It just seems way too expensive.
But it's the one
you're just
you
like,
want.
let's just do
I
it.
Want it.
Let's just do it.
I don't care. It's $25.
And we do that sometimes where we'll just pay full price for something because it's really special.
Because it's the only one. The one that's $25. Literally, this thing is 2 inches. It's this tiny.
The only
piece of
one
hardware
on the planet being sold on eBay, right?
Is $25.
Right.
That's a really high price for this thing. However, it's incredibly unique.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Because it's
probably
got that,
next week.
Because it's got that emotional appeal. Because it's just got this like look to it, and you really want it.
You're like, I want my door to have that on it, and my door will have that on it. Forever.
So this is an example of us experiencing what we think buyers who buy from us do, because it's just so special, and you want it because it's going to it'll always be there, and you'll always remember it, and it's adds that little detail.
Right.
That makes your life feel better.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that is kind of depressing.
That's my Don Draper Mad Men monologue.
That was Don. You channeled Don Draper for sure.
Okay, our coming week. I did have a question for people. So, we do interviews where we interview other people that sell on eBay, and I haven't done one in a while. Sometimes it's hard to coordinate with people. I often email different people and I never hear back from them because some people are busy, just don't want to be interviewed. So I do want to put out a request. We're looking for someone that owns a brick and mortar store and sells on eBay, or if you've owned a brick and mortar store and then switched to eBay. Right. I'd love to talk to someone about that switch or its difference between the store and eBay. So
you can email us.
You can just email us from the blog at scavengerlife.com.
The scavengerlife@gmail.com. That's our email.
And, we're starting this new thing. As many of you guys know, we now take questions by phone. You can leave a voicemail. So we'll never pick up. You don't need to identify it yourself, but we would love to hear comments, questions, or a little story if you want.
Yeah, anything. So the phone number is 540-407-8486, and it's on the sidebar of the blog as well, so you can call anytime. We won't pick up. It rings no physical phone. It's just it is a Google Voice number with voicemail.
We're both imagining that you guys are scared tiny little animals, so we're trying to make it
don't want us to be like, hi, this is Jay.
We're trying to make it as harmless as possible.
I'm going to answer your question.
And, it's good. The calls we've had so far have been great,
Yeah, they're awesome.
We love actually hearing people's voices. I feel like it makes everyone more real. And we still do take questions by text or by email. So you can now, we took away the form that people were filling in. Now you can
just email us.
Just email us, and
yeah.
You know, but like we always say though, if you're looking for something right away,
go
you can
in the
also
comments.
Just
the comments are very active.
Yeah.
So, and
cool.
and we keep up with the comments and try to answer questions too. So.
Yeah, dudes.
Yeah, dudes.
Good.
So.
And the other thing we're doing is this week is we're going to take pictures of everything in our house. So when Orion's family comes, everything will be clean.
Basically, we're hiding the fact from them that we're hoarders. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's great. They're both Ryan's mom and a sister either sell on eBay or have sold on eBay. So
they get it.
Yeah, they get it. It's cool. Okay, guys. This podcast is ending. In 3, 2, 1.
The end.